Your receptionist is already much better at intake than you think. The problem is, she only becomes that good on one type of call. I analyzed 3,492 criminal defense intake calls from one Dallas-Fort Worth firm. And on most criminal defense calls, the receptionist mirrored the urgency about 5% of the time. But when the caller said someone was in jail, that jumped to 43%. Same receptionist, same firm, same chair. 8.6 times more urgency, and those jail-related calls qualified at 47%, almost half. So, the highest converting channel in this entire data set was not Google Ads, it was not LSAs, it was not referrals, it was the call that made intake act like the case mattered right now. That's the real lesson of the jail cell call channel. Not that jail cell calls convert, but it's that your intake already knows how to convert urgent callers. They just need to do it on purpose. And if you run a criminal defense firm, this matters because this is not just an interesting data point. This is a playbook. In this video, I'm going to show you what this channel actually is, why your receptionist behaves differently on it, and how to train that behavior into every call. Because the lesson here is not go get more jail calls. The lesson is your intake team already knows how to convert urgent callers. You just need to make that behavior repeatable. So I went deeper. I pulled every jail-related call from 4 months of intake data, read every transcript, tagged who was calling, tagged how intake responded, and the first thing I found was that the jail cell channel is not really a jail cell. It's usually a spouse's cell phone. Only 22% of these calls came from the defendant themselves, 1 in 5. The other 68% came from family. Wives calling about husbands, adult children calling about parents, girlfriends calling about boyfriends, sisters calling about brothers. The mental image you probably have of this channel, someone in booking dialing collect, is mostly wrong. The real mental image is a spouse in her kitchen at 11 on a Monday, credit card on the counter, calling firms one by one until someone picks up. And that really matters because family callers are not just more common on this channel, they also qualify at a higher rate than the defendants themselves. Almost 48% for family callers versus 36% for defendants. Same case, same charge, same jail. Two completely different buyers. And the wife converts at 12 percentage points higher than the guy she's trying to help. But even that is not the biggest finding. The biggest finding is what intake does differently when she calls. I did something a little unusual with the data. I didn't just look at what the callers said. I looked at what the receptionist said back. Specifically, how often does the receptionist mirror urgency? How often does she use words like today, night away, priority, as soon as possible? And here is the part I have not told you yet. She's not doing it consciously. No one trained her to be better on jail cell calls. Nobody handed her a special jail cell call script. She is responding to the cues in the call. The panicked voice, the my husband is in jail opener, the right now language. The caller makes the urgency obvious, so the receptionist naturally starts acting with urgency. But the operational reality is brutal. Jail cell callers trigger the version of your receptionist that closes at 47%. Every other caller gets the version that closes at 11%, which means the reason this channel converts so much better is not actually the channel. It's the receptionist behaving differently on it. And that means if you could get her or him to behave that way on every call, your entire firm conversion rate would change. One more quick pattern before we get to the fix. Monday is where jail cell calls peak. 17 of the 57 jail cell calls came on a Monday, and Monday's qualification rate is 65%. That's the highest of any segment in this entire data set. So here's my working hypothesis. Monday is weekend leakage, showing up 48 hours late. Someone gets arrested Saturday night, their wife spends Sunday calling firms, she hits voicemail, Monday morning she finally reaches a human. The data can't prove that every Monday's jail cell call started as a weekend attempt, but the pattern is too clean to ignore. Now, here's the fix. Fix number 1, train your receptionist to mirror urgency on every call. This is the whole play. The receptionist is already doing this right on jail cell calls. She just does not know that she's doing it. And she does not do it on the other 90% of calls. The training's simple. Give her a script that starts every call the same way it would start a jail cell call. Yes, ma'am, tell me what's going on right now. We can get an attorney on this today. Let me grab your number so we can reach you as soon as possible. Same words. She's already using it on jail cell calls. It's just that now she says them on every calls. The cost is $0. It takes 1 training session. Fix number 2. I want you to rewrite your intake script to open with urgency. Your receptionist can only mirror urgency if the caller has established it. Most non-jail cell callers open with something like, I have a question about DWI, flat tone. No signal that anything is urgent. So the script needs to ask the urgency question first. The old opener would be, thank you for calling, how can I help? The new opener would be, thank you for calling. Is there anything happening right now that we need to know about? A court date, arrest, someone in custody? If the answer is yes, urgency mode activates. If the answer is no, standard intake. But every caller gets asked, so the receptionist knows what tone to bring. You're not adding staff, you're not spending more on ads, you're changing the first 15 seconds, the most crucial 15 seconds of every call. That's the whole intervention. Now, let's put a number on it. Same calculator approach that I used in my weekend cost video. Plug this into your own firm. Your baseline qualification rate on non-jail criminal cell calls is around 11%. That's industry standard. That's what happens when the receptionist does not mirror urgency. Now, say training pushes that to 15%, not 47, that's the ceiling, just 15. At a 4% lift, take your monthly non-jail cell criminal call volume, multiply it by that 4% lift, multiply it by close rate, multiply it by average retainer, and multiply that by 12 months. For most firms I work with, a 4-point qualification lift on non-jail cell calls unlocks somewhere between $75,000 to $250,000 in retained revenue per year, just from the receptionist saying different words. Drop your number in the comments or let me run it for your firm. The link is in the description. One takeaway, that's it. Your intake team already knows how to handle urgent callers. The problem is they only switch into that mode when the caller makes the urgency obvious. So here's your homework. Tomorrow, sit next to your intake team for 1 hour. Count how many times she uses the word today or the phrase right away. Then compare that to the last jail cell call in your CRM. The gap is going to surprise you. The gap is the fix. This is part of my criminal defense intake series where I'm breaking down the biggest findings from 3,492 intake calls. If you've not seen the pillar video, watch that next. It gives you all 6 leaks in one place. And if you want me to run this kind of audit against your firm's actual call data, the link's in the description. There's no pitch. I just think every criminal defense firm should be doing this at least once a year. The pillar video is on screen now. Hit subscribe.